Hello and welcome to the Keep It Local Maine podcast, where we tell the stories of local business owners and Maine residents and learn more about what they do, who and what inspires them, their challenges, successes, and more. My name is Todd Regalinsky.
And I am Kimberly Regalinsky.
And we are the publishers of Keep It Local Maine, a local magazine that helps showcase local businesses to the people in and around their communities. Thank you for tuning in to our weekly podcast that you can subscribe to on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can learn more about us at keepitlocalmaine.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the links in the show notes. In this episode, we'll be talking with Maine candy maker Robin Kennedy of Robin's Confections in Biddeford. Robin's passion for making chocolate confections began while working for another candy company, where she learned the skills she would apply in 2012 when she started her own business out of her parents' renovated basement. After only working the wholesale business for 6 years, they now have a beautiful store in Biddeford that Robin manages and her parents own. There she has expanded what they make and are able to offer, but the Maine Needham remains their most popular staple product, as it should.
Welcome to the show, Robin. We are so glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm just honored that you asked.
Yeah, this is exciting. We get to talk about chocolate and sweets and all that good stuff today. So,
yeah, and all before lunch.
All before lunch. Yep.
I mean, who doesn't love that, right?
I know.
Extraordinarily poor planning on our parts once again. Doing a recording like this on an empty stomach. It's
right.
Yes. So tell us, how did you begin making confections? And is it something that you had always dreamed of growing up, or was it something kind of that you stumbled into? Can you tell us how this all started?
Absolutely. So it is 100% something I stumbled into. It is not, when I was little, I wanted to be like an actress, and then I think I wanted to be a marine biologist. Chocolate was nowhere in the mix.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So what happened was I had just moved back to Maine, and a family friend of ours had started a business, and she was actually doing peanut butter fudge, just peanut butter fudge. Mm-hmm. And she was kind of doing a business where she was just wholesaling out, to like mom and pop stores. And she just needed someone else. Like, it was a really small operation. She needed someone just to like package. So I was like, mm-hmm. Hey, I can do that. And so I just kind of started that way. And then this was about the time, I don't know if you guys remember, that peanut butter suddenly became dangerous. I can't remember. There was like peanut butter was contaminated, but people were staying away from it. This was
mm-hmm.
a few years back. And they were like, okay, so the fudge sales were going down the tube, and eventually she started to make Needhams. And at mm-hmm. the time, I had never had a Needham. When I found out what a Needham was, I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. As soon as I found out that there was potatoes in it, I was like, I don't get it. But, I learned, and then, we started making some batches together, and I was like, oh, I totally get it. This is delicious.
Yeah.
And so I had kind of, we had kind of grown a little bit from me just being there to package, and I was helping cut the Needhams and make the stuff and just kind of, getting my feet wet a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then my stepfather, he has owned a business, a local business called Gartland Distributors for a very long time. And mm-hmm. he sells like snack foods and, Maine jerky and chips and all kinds of different stuff. Mm-hmm. And at the time that the business that I was working for, they kind of started to decide, they're like, I'm not sure that we're going to do this for the long run. I had been in talks with my stepfather about, he's like, do you really like to do this? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, you could really fill a niche for me. He needed some things. He's like, we could kind of work together if you want to do this on your own. And I was like, at that point, I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do this on my own. I've had tons of ideas about, different products that I'd like to make. And so he kind of redid his whole basement in his home and just made that like a commercial kitchen. And that's really kind of how it just started. The whole thing just kind of started to really jump off.
That's awesome.
Now, the funny thing is, two things actually. The first is I'm a little concerned about how observant I am of my health, because I don't remember anything about peanut butter being contaminated. I never steered away from peanut butter. I've been pro peanut butter like all my life. So I'm really realizing I need to pay a little more attention to some of this stuff, because that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah, it was this big thing everything that was in the news. And of course, as I'm saying it right now, I'm like, man, I should have specifically remembered what it was, if it was a brand or what the deal was. But all I remember is that peanut butter was off the table. No one was eating it. And that was the only product we were making. So we were like, uh-oh.
Well, no, someone was eating it. I was still.
Yeah, Todd was still eating it.
Everyone's looking at me like, "Don't you know that that's bad?" Like,
yeah.
It is. As I just picture myself with like a serving spoon, just shoveling it into my mouth.
See that. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he's in trouble. And the other thing is, I totally get what you're saying with the Needhams, because I didn't grow up in Maine, and I didn't really wasn't aware of what this was. Mm-hmm. And yeah, as soon as you hear, sort of like when we interviewed Jeff from the Holy Donut, and was, oh yeah, and there's mashed potatoes in the donuts. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was mashed potatoes. I thought it was just potato flour. No, it's full. Okay.
Oh, totally. And I have to totally give props, honestly, to the Holy Donut, because as soon as we even mention, like, the Holy Donut, they've got potatoes. They are like right on board. If they're questioning, even though I'm not making donuts, they all know the Holy Donut, and I just kind of use them. I'm like, they put, potatoes in their donuts, and they're like, okay, I'll totally try it.
Yeah. But to me, it's almost like when you get like a cannoli, and then it's like, oh yeah, there's cheese in I want cheese in my dessert. Like, no, and then you try, you're like, oh wait, I didn't know cheese could be like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I get the best reactions. It is just so funny. I wish I had like a camera recording all the time. Whenever someone's like, oh, what's a Needham? I love explaining it. Every time I love to explain it.
That's what you need. That is the next step in your business. You need a Needham cam.
Yes. Oh my goodness, what a good idea. I love it.
Just to capture the reactions, and people go, say what?
Yeah.
There's what in it?
So like potatoes inside? I'm like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And they are yummy.
Oh, I love me some Needhams now, but the first time someone told me what it was, I'm like, no, I think I'm good.
I'm going to skip that.
Yeah. And then I look at it, I'm like, well, it is covered in chocolate. I mean, how bad
that
can
will
it really
fix
be?
Everything. That will fix everything.
Chocolate and bacon just fix a myriad of issues. Oh, we're so off topic now. So anyways, how have you embraced working with local vendors and businesses? Because you say that's kind of a big part of the business. Like, obviously potatoes. So I'm guessing there's Maine potatoes involved in the Needham somewhere along the way.
Oh, absolutely. The Maine potatoes, what are Needhams, because that's really the base of the whole store, is the Needham, the original Maine Needham. Mm-hmm. And so we do use Maine potatoes for the interiors, but embracing with vendors, what we like to do in the store, because we definitely have branched out quite a bit. If you've ever been in the store, you're surprised at how big the interior is. People are always surprised. And what we like to do, because a lot of people will be like, oh, do you make every single thing here? And we're like, no, we're not really big enough to fill this entire store yet. I don't have a staff of 50. But we love to reach out to local vendors and fill as many holes as we can here. For example, like we sell Bar Harbor jam here. We sell Jarva cakes. Oh, if you want to talk about something dangerous, get yourself some Jarva cakes. Those are so delicious. I have to stay away from that whole corner myself. But, Havens supplies us with some saltwater taffy and, caramel corn, stuff like that. And we're so happy to do that. We're so happy to supply as much local stuff as we can here inside the store, because really we started out, the business started in 2012, and I was a business just doing wholesale. So 100% of my business relied on local vendors carrying my product. So as much as I can possibly do that myself, I do, and I really love to do that, and I love to highlight it. We'll even have the business who does our website and all of our, anytime we have any computer problem, which is quite often, they also have a photography business, and we like to put up, they take pictures of local Maine spots, and we have, art on sale in the store. So as much as we can focus on that, we do, and we're really proud of it. Yeah,
that's great. So when did you have this retail shop? When did you start the retail shop? When did that open?
The retail shop opened in August of 2018. So we're still fairly new to the retail side of it, but it was always the plan to open up a retail side.
So tell us about now. Some of the things that you do are really cool. So you can do gift baskets. You can do corporate baskets. You can do just these amazing baskets. And we recently ordered a basket.
Oh boy, are you really going to go into this story? Seriously?
That we were going to give away, but it didn't make it that far.
Okay, so time out for a second. I feel like I need to defend myself here because I know where this is heading.
Todd broke into it.
I didn't breaking into it.
It's a lot of packaging, so yeah, you have to break into it.
Your Honor, I object. What happened was, so Kim got one of the baskets and she said, we're going to give it away. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm like, okay, that's whatever. And it was in the back of her car for a while. Mm-hmm. And as most things that Kim has in this life are, for whatever reason, they spend a lot of time in her car before they finally make it to wherever their final destination is.
Sure.
So the ribbon, kind of the packaging became a little bit loose from being in the back of the car for a prolonged period of time. Mm-hmm. So then it was in the house, and then she had touched it and like somehow started coming unwrapped. So she took the wrapping off because she couldn't get it back together to hide her crimes. So I come home and I see that the basket is now unwrapped, and I'm like, oh, so this is where we're headed.
This is fair game now.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? I love me some gummy lobsters, and there's gummy anything, honestly. One of my weaknesses. And I grabbed that, opened that up. I was watching a movie, having my gummy lobsters. She comes back, and I was like, yeah, so I see you busted into that. She's like, no, the wrapping came off. I'm like, oh.
Well, now that it's open.
Well, it's a little bit lighter now.
Yes. So we're gonna need to get another one of those baskets.
You're no problem.
This is what I love. I love that you guys they make such great gifts. But tell us about, you guys have so many cool items in the shop. Tell us about some of your personal favorites, either because they taste good or some of the fun items that you guys offer, because you offer like a variety of items. Like this
Absolutely.
People need to go in and actually just see this shop for just all the cool things that you guys have in there.
Oh, now this is one of my favorite questions and one of the most challenging questions, because customers will come in often. They'll say, what's your favorite thing? And I'm like, well, what day is it? It changes. But we definitely, one of the big things that we offer that was so exciting to open up the retail store, because we specifically wanted to do this when we had the store, was fudge. Fudge has been a major part of the business, and I hand make all of the fudge here, and that has just taken off. So that's always really fun. Love to do that. Lots of different flavors. Chocolate covered whoopie pies is one of the most popular items. And my God, you wouldn't think that just adding a hard layer to chocolate would make such a difference, but it really does. We do stuff like chocolate covered Oreos, and we've got taffy. My favorite thing, because I don't know if it's just automatic for me to say it or if it really truly is but for ever since we've started, we do chocolate covered peanut butter pretzels. And what that is it's 2 round buttered pretzels and just a dab of smooth peanut butter in the center of that. And then we run that through chocolate. So it ends up looking kind of like a little chocolate coin, almost like a thick chocolate coin. And it's the perfect combination of, the salty and the sweet. It's got that crunch and the smooth. It's, oh my goodness. It's just anyone that I've ever told that to mostly has bought it, and they've come back and said, thank you for telling me that. Because it is now my favorite thing to make or to eat.
I want to eat that right now.
Oh my God, it's delicious. It's so good. I love it.
That sounds amazing.
I'm having a hard time thinking of talking because my mouth is watering.
Yes, and then, you have a whole display of even just gummy candies too, just things like that.
Absolutely. A lot of package, we separate it, one side is just we've got tons of gummies and candies, and then, a whole thing that's nonpareils has actually been surprising to me. But that's one of our top sellers. And now we've got dark chocolate nonpareils, milk chocolate, white chocolate. I've got peanut butter nonpareils, huge display of that, chocolate molds, just as much chocolate as you can possibly. I get a lot of suggestions from customers, actually. They're like, have you tried this? Have you made this? Do you sell this? And, whenever I can, whenever I'm able to find that stuff, I'll usually supply it. And it's great. It's helpful.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm the clueless one here, but what's a nonpareil?
So nonpareil, and it's so funny. It's the simplest thing. It is literally like it's a flat chocolate like wafer or like dot. Like if you had I call it wet chocolate, melted chocolate, and then you were just to kind of dab it and let it dry, and then you sprinkle it with, it's like snow caps. You sprinkle it with like,
okay,
nonpareils or the sprinkles on top, and mostly you'll see it as like a snow cap, like white on top. Oh my gosh, they're so popular. I have people come in all the time and say, do you have nonpareils? I need to have nonpareils. And I'm like, yep, I'm a huge display. I'm never out.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow. Yeah, and those are dangerous because you can chain eat those.
Oh, yes.
Until you hit the bottom of whatever container you're going, and then just you can eat the container too sometimes.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And I'm in danger of that all the time. After lunch, I walk out of my office and I have a huge chocolate store, and I'm just like, don't look. I got to put the blinders on.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because Kim knows, like after I eat, I'm like,
you gotta have something sweet.
Kind of go for something sweet right now.
We usually have an after lunch rush. Absolutely. People come in, they're like, all right, I need something sweet now.
Yeah. Oh man. So all right, now I don't want you to give away any trade secrets here. So if you need to be somewhat general here, I totally understand. But what is the secret to a really good Needham?
So I will tell you, and I promise you this is not a secret. What we do is we actually hand mash our potatoes. So anyone that's listening now that actually doesn't know what a Needham is, it is a very old, like in the 1800s recipe that basically it's like a Mounds bar. If you love coconut, you will love a Needham. That is really you take a bite into it and it's coconut, it's moist on the inside, it's all this stuff. But what makes a Needham is the potato, because potatoes are so abundant in Maine. So back in the 1800s, they didn't have all the add-ins and confections that you can make nowadays. And so they figured out how to do it with potatoes. It's just a binder. So we hand mash potatoes every single morning, while sometimes you might find a Needham that has like dried flake potato, and I'll tell you, that's not the way to do it. You hand mash your potatoes, and it's just, after so long, we've really figured out that's really what makes it. If you overcook the potatoes, it'll come out one way. If you undercook, but we've just really hit a perfect sweet spot. And we actually hand dip every single Needham that we have. We have a beautiful chocolate enrober, which is basically like, that Willy Wonka, like you put it on a conveyor belt and there's a waterfall of chocolate and it covers it. So if you had bacon or something, it puts it on a belt. It's that beautiful thing that people love to see. But we hand dip every single one. So there's just there's a lot of extra care that goes into our Needhams. But I say, if you can hand mash your potatoes as your ingredient, that's really the trick.
That's interesting. Now, are there different types of Needhams? Because I've only ever had just like the okay. Oh, all right, calm, easy. My goodness.
There's the original Maine Needham,
I just got like this look from Kim, like, what's wrong with you?
Don't you know? So, all we do, we technically, right now in the store, let me think. I've got 6 different types of Needhams. They all are the same base as the original Maine Needham, but what we started doing was we started adding some flavors a while back. We started with maple, and we worked with a maple house that supplied us with, local maple, and then we also add maple flavoring. And so that's kind of what we do, is we'll add in, the pure extract of a flavor. And right now I've got the original Maine Needham, I've got blueberry, I've got pina colada, I've got orange, maple, and we just added coffee is our newest flavor. But I've also done things like around Christmas, we do peppermint. I've done raspberry, strawberry. So yeah, the sky's the limit. And I have my brother-in-law will not leave me alone about peanut butter. He wants me to make a peanut butter Needham. So yeah, it's really, it's very interesting. Like I said, it's all the same base. It's all coconut, and the chocolate on everything is the same. It's just you add that flavor to it.
That's so
all right. Now I'll give you one for free here.
Okay.
And all I ask is on the little card, just a little note down at the bottom. Pumpkin spice Needham.
Oh, for crying out loud.
You know what,
You know
Todd?
what?
I tried pumpkin last season. I'm going to have to try it again because what I did was I added pumpkin puree. And I think I'm going to have to maybe get another extract or something along the line because it was too soft for me to actually form it and dip it.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. I had given it away to, because one of the perks of knowing me is that, you get to be a guinea pig for something that I try. And they were like, it's not bad, but I need more pumpkin. So that is on the list for sure. It is on my radar.
Funny. Yeah, it's just there's such a pumpkin spice cult out there, isn't there?
Yeah,
it really
it's
is
strong when you go into like the supermarket and they've got like pumpkin print and this and that. It's all like it's like okay, enough.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of crazy.
It's just a gourd. It's not that exciting.
I mean, I will tell you, I make a killer pumpkin pie fudge.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, and the entire store smells like it when I make it. It is my favorite thing. I love doing it. Every time like September rolls around, I'll probably be making it within the next couple weeks. Oh, it's delicious.
That's so cool.
I mean, and I don't want any of our listeners to get me wrong. I am not anti-pumpkin. I'm not. I love me some pumpkin bread. I don't want to get on the wrong side of this debate. That's all.
No hate mail. No hate mail.
Yes.
You want to get on the wrong side of the pumpkin cult, it could be bad.
Yes.
There'll be pitchforks and torches outside the office.
Pretty much. So you guys have something really unique about your shop. Can you tell us about the structure that you put in and what purpose that serves?
Are you talking about what's outside of our shop?
The ramp, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Let me say that again. All right.
That was an interesting way around that.
I know.
No, we're totally leaving that in. We're totally leaving that in.
Tell us about the ramp.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I think about renaming the store just the ramp because we're on this really great. We've got tons of traffic that goes out in front of our store, and I've got new people that come in every single day, and I've had several people that come in that say, I just had to stop and see what this ramp was all about. So when we bought the store, it was a doctor's office at the time, and the way that they had positioned it was that the front door was on the back of the building, and they had just like, pavement going up on a slight incline to the door. The way that we had designed it and we wanted to do it was we wanted windows all around and the front door to be facing the street. Mm-hmm. So, going to Biddeford, code enforcement, all that, we discovered that to be handicap compliant or ADA compliant, we needed to have a handicapped ramp outside. And with the way that the amount of incline and so many inches and, the way that the rules work, it basically, if you've ever seen it or you ever get on Facebook, you get on Instagram, I love to post pictures of this thing. It's just this big, massive, huge wooden ramp. And when my stepfather had come back and he was kind of writing it out, on paper with pen, I looked at it and I looked at him and I said, it looks like an amusement park. It looks like you're waiting to get on line at an amusement park. And we were like, well, you know what? We have to do what we have to do. And so we spent 3 months building that ramp. It was me and my husband and my brother-in-law and, a few family and friends and Bob. And we just spent the whole 3 months, like every weekend, building that ramp. And we were a little bit worried, honestly, that when we built it, we're like, it's just going to be like kids are just going to be running up and down it. But the very first day that we opened, we had someone come up in a wheelchair. And the first thing they said was, thank you so much. And it made it so worth it. And I was just like, they said it was so easy to get up. There was so much space. And then they came into the store and they said the same thing. They were like, this is a dream for someone in a wheelchair and handicap. And so now I was proud of it at first, but now I have a very much deeper sense of pride that, something that I don't think about every day. In my head, I was just kind of going by code enforcement. And now I'm thrilled that I can offer that kind of thing. But it is, you notice it when you drive by. No question. Very unique. Because the door is up on the second level. That's why, because it's so high. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. you need to have a couple speakers out there, playing on loop. It's a sweet world after all.
It was actually great because of COVID and everything, because we didn't have to shut the store down. We kept one of the windows open to kind of work as a takeout window. But I actually put out, funny little signs, and I taped it on the ramp. So we, for Easter, it was Easter, we had that entire ramp filled with people in line who could totally be safely distanced. So I'm like, this was amazing. I never would have pictured that, but it was beautiful.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's so cool.
So one of the questions that we always like to ask, because everyone kind of has a bit of a different take on this and a different answer, and it's always good for us to get a little bit of different perspective on this. But how do you define success, whether it's personal or professional?
So, such a good question and such a tough one, isn't it? I mean, in my personal situation, it's little moments that I catch throughout the day. If somebody leaves my store happy, that makes me feel successful. When someone comes in, and a lot of the times, I mean, I don't want to harp on the Needhams, but sometimes people will come in, and I've had someone, her eyes filled with tears because she said, I haven't had a Needham this good since my grandmother made it, when I was a kid, and the grandmother's passed now. And that's a beautiful thing. But if people leave the store and they're happy, I feel successful. If I'm in the back of the store and no customers are here, and I'm around, my staff or something, and they're laughing and we're getting along and they're happy to be at work, that makes me feel successful. I'm not out to kind of win some, imaginary trophy. Like, we have the best Needham, we make the most money, we're, whatever. We do our best. No one here is actually trained. A lot of I don't really like to say competitors, but the people in the same field, they have a lot of foundation of many, many years. And we're just out there kind of doing our best, We really care about our product, and we care about each other. And I'll get little glimpses of that throughout my whole day. And that makes me feel successful.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing what a lot of attention to detail and care will kind of close a gap in learned skill sometimes, because you might not be doing it the exact procedure, that someone else does, or maybe even as fast, but you kind of end up, if you're trying to get to the same goal, you can end up getting there just in different ways.
Yeah, and I think that's passion. You've got to have passion for what you do, and it sounds like you guys do, and it sounds like you have fun doing it, and passion will do that every time.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So
we are also inspiration junkies. We love to be inspired, and we feel like we're inspired every time we get to do one of these podcasts. So who or what inspires you?
Another tough one. What inspires me, you've got your big staples, you've got your big answers where, I'm a new mom. I have a daughter who's 2 years old, and I think about her, and I think about my family, and I think about this business and making people proud. But really, when it comes down to it, is my staff. Absolutely. My staff inspires me, because really, day to day, they're the ones that I show up for, and they show up for me every single day. It's amazing the work that they put into it, whether they're full time. We're a small staff, and right now we're a staff of 5, and I've gone through a few people here and there, but I have never once had a staff member that I just didn't absolutely adore. And they work really, really hard for me. Like I said, they care about this product, because it's one thing for me, in this business, or as the manager, or as the family part of this business, to be like, I really, I've got my name on this, so I want the product to look good and blah, blah, blah. But, they don't have their name on it, but they care like they do. And what more could I ask for, And I spend all my days with them, and I get to hear their stories, and they feel comfortable talking to me about their life or their needs. Do they need this time off for this appointment, or, they need some extra hours here, and, stuff like that. I love being that person to make their life a little bit easier if I possibly can. And so day to day, it's absolutely my staff. They absolutely inspire me to do better, to want better personally, for business, all of it.
That's awesome. And that just sounds like good leadership.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, Robin, thank you for sharing a bit of your story with us and also making us very hungry.
I always say it's never too early. We open up at 10 a.m. You come in here, I've got what you need.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to send Kim there, and I'm going to go to the gym. And that way,
It balances out, absolutely.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Except the problem is I try to make every day cheat day. That doesn't work out.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really, really happy to have joined you today. I've been listening to your podcast, and I just love it. So I'm really honored to be on this.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And folks who are listening should definitely go to Robin's website, which we will have linked in the show notes. You can actually order online, have things shipped and delivered, but also be sure to stop by. See the ramp, first and foremost.
Come see the ramp.
Get a selfie with the ramp.
Please do.
Yes.
And then actually go inside and buy a whole bunch of stuff and enjoy
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yes.
And also be sure to follow Robin on social media. We'll have links for all of that stuff in the show notes. Thank you again, Robin,
Yes, thank you,
for
Robin.
taking time out of your day with us.
Of course.
This has been great.